This session is supported by Upflex. Upflex gets your organization access to the largest global network of workspaces for teams and companies of any size.
We are very happy to have again a very great panel of panelists from New York, Tel Aviv, and Warsaw. So we are in Barcelona. So the idea is to discuss about the idea that we spoke about corporates and big companies who are now considering flex as an option for them, but how to grow that and what are the challenges for it. So, but first of all, I will let you introduce yourself, each one of you, starting with Sherri, and then we will move to the presentation by Konrad. We'll structure a little bit the discussion, and then we come back to the group discussion and to have a worthwhile share of thoughts. So, Sherri, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Yang. My name is Sherri Tao. I am the VP of Space Partnership at Upflex. Upflex is a startup company based in New York. What we're doing here is we're building a hybrid work solutions for the greater, commercial real estate community to help to solve and also implement the client, enterprise levels flex work strategy. And we work with space operators, we work with the broker communities, and we work with enterprise level clients to make sure that they are ready and they are also implementing their strategy to encourage the new workforce requirement of the flex world. So that's what we're doing here. Really nice meeting everyone and happy to be on the panel today.
Upflex is available in the exhibition area. So for those who want to get in touch with you, welcome. And so thank you, Sherri, for the introducing yourself. So Nir, you are in sunny Tel Aviv. Tell us about this, remind us who you are.
True. Hello, everyone. My name is Nir Kelner. I'm the chief executive of the Brain Embassy. The Brain Embassy is the co-working brand of Adgar Investment and Development. We're a real estate company. At the moment, we operate in the Brain Embassy 30,000 square meters in Tel Aviv, Antwerp, Belgium, and our biggest portfolio at the moment is in Warsaw. I was looking forward to meet you everyone face to face, but unfortunately, it will need to wait another year. But I'm very happy to attend the virtual panel as well, and hope it will be available for everyone.
Perfect. So, Konrad, welcome back. You're one of our experts. We have been so for quite a while now. So, remind us who you are.
Yes, thank you. My name is Konrad Szaruga. I work for CBRE. I'm head of flexible workplace team, which advises our clients regarding flexible space. And our clients are occupiers, owners, and operators. So basically, we advise all the parts, all the players on the market. And this is a huge deal for our company and very fast-growing part of the business, which I created for the last 2 years. And I want to share with you some outcome of our research, which we made globally and for the EMEA. And I will add some comments for local market because I'm responsible for the Poland in particular.
Perfect.
Okay. So let me start sharing the screen. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We can all see the screen.
So maybe something very obvious, but we have to deal with the COVID situation second year, and what is maybe expected, maybe unexpected on the office market, and based on our research, employees want to work from home. Of course, this depends on what sector and what market group we are. But basically, more and more companies after first few weeks, few months of the COVID situation wanted to go back to the office. For some, it was huge change, because some companies, we have to remember about this, never work, for example, never work from home, never work remotely. Some companies more tech oriented or people oriented already have incorporated some hybrid solutions, hybrid work or remote working, and this expanded. But basically, it was new situation. And when we measure and discuss with the occupiers, after few weeks, few months, they which were very nervous for everyone, we saw that they prefer to work from the office. Especially, this is the case for the smaller companies, small medium companies, and scale-ups and newcomers for the market. Because one thing which I think it's not very often highlighted in many COVID-related discussions and situations is the COVID is appeared during good prosperity on many markets. And in many markets, especially here in Poland, in CE region, we have lots of newcomers, new companies who enter the market from every part of the world. This is the case on plenty of markets, plenty of regions, not only in EMEA and not only in Europe. And newcomers, at first, they prefer to start with the Flex, which is much simpler, easier way to set up the office space. They grow, and this is something which is very hard to pick up during research and statistics. When you start with few or dozen of people and grew up to 100, 200, few hundreds of employees. But for this kind of companies, scale-ups and newcomers on the particular markets, they prefer to work from home because from the office, because people want to get know to each other, and the managers and C-level of C-level employees want to create this corporate identity, which is very important, especially during the times like this. And this will be highlighted later on in the presentation. And this is something which is not very often visible in typical spreadsheets during the research data. So when people go back to the office, the way as we work and the way of work changed dramatically. And even if we, when we did this research, we gathered the data a few months ago, we already seeing that during this year, we saw few changes in approach on different markets for the customers, for our customers, especially for the occupiers, because the COVID situation and our expectation about how it will go changed. Lots of people thought, okay, it will disappear within months. This is very temporary. Again, also we managed to live with it. And another wave, which was kind of expected, was surprise for lots of people, but also the people wanted to go to work. So hence we have some different solutions of the work. Lots of companies come back to standard office and do like different shifts, different approach with measuring of the health of testing the employees. But more and more companies decide to go into the hybrid, and by hybrid we mean work from the office, from home, and from third-party location. And by third-party location, we mean mostly, but not always, this goes to the Flex. And I think this is good deal for our segment of the market. because we're seeing that flex market growing very, very rapidly, but it's growing in a very peculiar way, which we will address shortly. And it's growing because two things. We on this slide we see that lots of companies how they behave during the COVID situation. Some of the companies, especially tech-related companies, are growing very rapidly. Some companies, unfortunately, decreasing with the size. But when we divide this into the sectors, basically more and more companies are growing, and very often the growth overcome the impact of the COVID, and by impact I mean hybrid working. So even if companies are growing, part of the staff has to work from home, from flexible space, shifts, any other way, they still very often need more and more space. And so this is good for the market, for the flex market, because we're seeing lots of inquiries from every type of company, from small, medium, micro companies up to huge corporate players. But on the other way, we're seeing, because of the COVID and disrupted chains of supply, the supply of the office space, also flexible space, was limited. And what we're seeing right now, especially in Poland, we're seeing this in a few other markets, that especially this year, from the vacation from August, market picked up very rapidly. And for bigger requirements, bigger clients, especially corporate clients, we're seeing decreasing amount of options, or even lack of the options if they're looking for the space in smaller markets. And this is due to how the COVID impacted the availability of the space for the operators. And that's why we also see, and we might discuss this later, one of the challenges is to securing the space for the operators, which I think nobody expected 6 months ago. So, as mentioned, flexible space is basically obvious answer for the challenges of the office occupier, office clients, because during the COVID situation, our situation, which is very, the reason is different, but outcome is very similar to what happened in 2008. We have uncertainty of the future. We have huge difficulties in predicting what will happen next year in long term. So we focus on the short-term solutions, and best short-term solution for the office market is flexible market. So as easy as trigger this sounds, this is a key driver for the behind all this wave, all this picking up of the market among occupiers who go to the flex. Of course, technology and collaboration is a huge part of the the situation of the COVID was huge accelerator and the boost for the flex market from the demand side. The way how occupiers work and perceive office, not as the premises but as the solution for work and for attracting and retaining talent, changed dramatically within the last 2 years, and we have to answer the needs of the clients, and this needs changes every 3 months, from my experience. This is I never saw such dynamic market and such dynamic in the needs and change of the needs of the clients since I'm working on the real estate market. this is huge potential, huge chance for the Flex, and we're seeing that Flex is booming from the demand of the occupier. There is no need more for explaining what the flexible solution is. Most of the companies know what is this. Now we have to think how to address the needs, which are different for different companies, and solutions like. And I would like to start discussions with the Sherri and Nir, how they perceive how their solutions answer this needs from the clients.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to jump in here a little bit to provide some of the, what we see in the market here. The difference right now is we're seeing the purchase behavior is actually coming from both the company at the company level, but also could coming from the regional team level, right? And the purchase behavior within the same company, but different group can be very different. From the company level, the way how they're looking at this is very different than the traditional way of thinking is this is a real estate strategy. It's no longer a real estate strategy. They're thinking this more is a combination of real estate strategy, HR strategy, and change management. So a lot of companies, they understand Flex is the way for the future, but in terms of how do we get to the future, it's still very uncertain for them. So often what they take is they take a phased approach. So they will identify what is the key challenges they're facing right now. Maybe that's a remote sales team that they no longer have an office, or that could be a new hiring strategy in a certain region and they do not have an office over there, or it's a group of team that they need to get together every Tuesday and Thursday. So it varies at that level, and the companies are scrambling to put together different solutions for different teams within the same company. So what that means for us is it just means for the greater community, we need to think a little bit more creatively. How do we create this kind of components to help the company to fulfill various different types of needs, right? So that's from the company level. Then from the individual user level, we're basically entering into a new cohort of people. Traditionally, the user for co-working world are more smaller size company, more entrepreneur driven, they're resourceful, they're more tech savvy, they can figure out a lot of things on their own. When we're getting into the enterprise user, they tend to be a little bit different, and they're a little bit more challenged from technology wise, and they have a much higher level of expectation, right? So what they're expecting from the experience is not just a space being provided to them, they're also kind of expecting some level of hospitality, so to speak. They are expecting to walk in with monitors already set up, with some sort of a level of seating, maybe standing desk they require, and with easy ways to book a private time either by themselves or with their own team. So all of this are the things that, from Flex operator point of view, we need to think about outside of the box. How can we restructure the space, and how can we also, train our staff to be more accommodating to this type of different behavior. And the other thing I wanted to really mention is, we as a technology company, we put data as one of the most important component. We're seeing a lot of the companies are asking us to help them to collect information from the operator to fulfill part of their corporate strategy. And that could be related to ESG, D&I accessibility. So those are the things that maybe from a space operator point of view, it's not in the past something on top of their mind, but it's something that we need to start thinking and start considering how do we capturing those data to fulfill the needs from this new type of client, new type of users. So that's my some quick feedback for the community. Back to you, Konrad.
Yeah, you were mute, JB. So
yeah, sorry. Yes, I was thanking Sherri for the first input. So Nir, so from where you are and in the network of brain embassies, so do you indeed experience these changes in demand, and also we spoke in previous panels about the personas that are more and more different and need to be addressed in different ways. So at your level, how do you address it, and what's your what your updates on that?
So first of all, I agree with Konrad and Sherri that the focus at the moment is more into an experience. And companies are looking to create a workspace environment that support inspiration for them. And they are looking more of solutions that are not only a white box, that let's say are under the definition of flex office. They're looking more of a work environment that support activities like yoga, Pilates, happy hour, content activities, etc. And we sure do see it over here from, especially in Tel Aviv. We are working in different markets, as I mentioned before. Tel Aviv, it's nothing like the others. From Tel Aviv, from the summer, there is a significant demand for offices, especially co-working space. So most of the co-working space in Tel Aviv at the moment are fully booked with a long list of workstations awaiting for availability. And once we have availability, people are just fighting for the space. It's unbelievable. I could not imagine that we can reach to this kind of point.
Sorry, I read today that Tel Aviv was not the most expensive city in the world.
True. It's and I must say that we had a little bit of contribution for that, because what we are doing, we are just increasing the prices, because this is how it goes in the hospitality industry. When you have demand that you cannot offer, so the first tool you think about is increase the prices. So we did it. Everybody is doing that at the moment. So the market is booming so strong that it's sure unbelievable. And the reason for that is because we see a lot of money streaming to the market, especially to startup, to high-tech companies. So at the moment, the market is loaded with money. Companies are they are doing commercials. So you can see outdoor signage, you can even see commercials at the TV when they are encourage people to join them. Like, again, the fighting is about recruitment. So Tel Aviv, I believe it's a little bit of an extreme example. But if we are speaking about more on the markets that we are operating in Warsaw, as Konrad said, we sure see an increase of demand for our products. It's very easy to small, medium enterprises that are sick and tired to work from home to combine our facilities with working from home or working remotely. So we sure see this trend. And another interesting thing that happened in the last year is the massive digitalization process of the co-working industry. We see a lot of providers like Upflex is a good example for that. But we see more and more, even small operators that are just funding a software that will enable instant booking for open space. They use in their office, book meeting rooms by the hour and by the day. And what we did in the past year is also embedded this kind of option in our website. So at the moment, our website is open for everyone. Even if you are not a Brain Embassy member, you can just access our website and book open space, private office, and meeting room by demand.
So is it a driver of growth as well for adoption from employers and employee, this availability of on-demand tools such as Upflex, of course, or is still something marginal? So I remember we had a discussion about platforms and sales platform a couple of years ago, and most of the operators admitting that it was less than a few % of their leads that came through this platform. Maybe Nir and then Sherri. So
the way I'm looking about it, so first of all, our strategy, we are open for everyone. So we chose to collaborate with most of the providers. With some we didn't because they were too small. But let's say from the 80% that the providers that offering this kind of services, we were open for that. I see it more as a lead generator for us, because at the end of the day, we are providing a very high-end product. And from what I see, that people can come and experience our facilities by booking online, they are kind of paying leads for us, because they are coming for a couple of days to try the space. And if they like it, chances are they would like to take a permanent membership.
And do you think those people from employees from companies would have discovered your space without those platform, or no? It's a driver of changes.
It's another distribution channel for us at the end of the day. So we are trying to distribute our facilities in the media, in the social media, but this is another way for us to distribute our facilities and our services, and of course gain more revenues, that their percentage of our total revenues increase. That's true. And when it began, I must say that I was a bit concerned about marketing our facilities as a on-demand, because what does it mean about us that we cannot rent our spaces on a monthly basis? So now we are asking for an instant booking, but at the end of the day, rethinking about it, we basically give more options. So we have more products and services within our basket as a sales tool, so we can offer on-demand booking for those who prefer it, for corporates that used to work from home, need like to have a team building meeting outside their facilities. Most of them are using hybrid model of work. So if everybody, theoretically speaking, want to come to the office at the same day, the space will not be sufficient because they are keeping a social distancing. So by that, they are able to book on-demand space with us.
Sherri, so there is a dual message here. It's one, you are giving more leads for the space, and so they're happy to partner up with you. And on the other hand, it means like, okay, they catch the customer once you brought them to them. And so how do you see that? And how do you see indeed this on-demand dimension being a way to, as we said, bring more of the employees of any companies in the Flex offering?
I agree on a lot of level what Nir is mentioning, right? The way how a space should be marketing themselves should be multiple channels. There's their own channel, and then there's other channels to marketing themselves. At the end of the day, we always go back to what the user is demanding, what the user, the client, their behavior is like, right? Even though when we're talking about on-demand, there are different types of on-demand. We start seeing more and more from the enterprise user level, the on-demand, it doesn't mean it's unpredictable. It's actually a more predictable behavior. What ends up happening is, especially for the team get together, needing a meeting room, need a private office type of situation, they have very regular bookings at the same space on a regular basis, right? It is on demand. It's different than the traditional renting out the room for the month, but in a way, it's also predictable revenue for the space operators. It's almost like for this type of a shopping behavior, it's fractional buying, right? It's like almost like a timeshare. They want to dedicate it. They are devoted to one space, but the needs is not Monday to Friday every single day. They just need several days per month, several days per week. That's the type of demand we see more than the very random one-time, two-time droppings. It's because, you know, when you're dealing with larger size enterprise company, their employees' behavior is very different than the smaller size, or sometimes even to the medium size. So what we're doing here at Upflex is we wanted to be the technology empowerment house to empower everyone to make their choices, right? Space, like operator, like Brain Embassy, they can decide what works for them, and we are matching what works for them with the needs from the client side. So here we're trying to basically utilizing the resource at its most, you know, efficient and utilized way. So this is the way how we see how, you know, this type of channel is going to play in the entire ecosystem. And additionally, we're also, you know, collecting more data and behavior, and that insight can be helpful for the space operator to understand what's the next thing to build.
Okay, good. Konrad, is it good news for companies such as CBRE? So that it seems like, you know, those big deals, 300 desks in a flex environment that you traditionally sell. Maybe it seems like, okay, it's a challenge for your own way to sell those spaces and to create solutions for them. How do you see that? How to address that?
Yeah, I think we have to address a few things, because during this conversation and due to the topic of our conversation, of our panel. So your question, regarding your question very shortly, we have plenty of work because we are advisors. We switching during last 10 years more from broker to the advisor. And as Sherri mentioned, the market, maybe nobody can see this, but market is more data driven, and you need data to give the advisory to the clients, and it's and especially during the times like this, when the dynamic on the market is huge, and the needs and requirements of the clients are very different. Regarding our discussions, because most of our listeners are operators or operator-related persons, I think we have to also distinguish that the market behaves differently for different size of the operators. So from my perspective, what I'm seeing, like, it's different metrics and different dynamics for the operators approximately above and below 1,500 square meters in size. Operators, why is that? To be successful and to have consistent business model, you have to reach at certain point like 90% of occupancy and keep it. If you have less than 1,500 square meters, your vacant space which you can offer to others is like 10 dozen workstations. It's not so much, and because of this, you can very little to offer to the market, and big brokers cannot offer you the clients because this is too small space for them, and that's why you, as the operator, you will have bigger contact, bigger experience with the platforms, also like Upflex. And I think this is good that Upflex came here, because Upflex can give you bigger rotation and a better utilization of this vacant space. And maybe for you, it's a good moment to think how to redesign the space. Because for the bigger operators, above 1,500 square meters, 3,000 to 4,000 square meters and above, they can mix different workplaces within their space. So small units, bigger units, different kind of the space. And this is also different kind for this and different purposes. And the rotation within the space is slightly bigger. Why I'm speaking about this? Because what we're seeing during the COVID times, last 2 years, the very peculiar thing, the typical length of the commitment, first commitment of the client shortened. It was above, in Polish market, it was above circa about 16, 18 months. It shortened to, in some cases, to 8-9 months, sometimes even smaller, but more. And why is that? Because clients were uncertain, but what clients did, they stayed longer. They renew. We have plenty of renewals. Mm-hmm. This is good and bad, because from one side, you can better predict your business. But if you has existing client, it's very hard to raise prices for them, for the client. This is clients don't like raising the prices. And again, back to the first point, it's easier for the big players like Brain Embassy, for the Nir, who has bigger space. He can better rotate in the space, and having bigger part of the bigger chunk of this vacant space, he can ask more, and then he can better use this situation and have better yields, better margin. For smaller operators who also contribute from the more and more renewals, it's less space for putting more bigger price and having better margin. But prices, cost of the service of the utilities is rising for everybody. So I think this is also the very interesting topic to address. And this is the situation where Upflex, who is cooperating, please Sherri, comment on this, with big players and the smaller players, can benefit a lot for the smaller operators.
Yeah.
And very shortly, and another distinguish bigger and smaller operators, I think what I see very strongly is distinguish between center located operators, like city center located, and outside of the city center. Totally different dynamics and totally different clients type and needs of the clients.
Exactly. So Sherri, just on that, so we spoke a lot also yesterday about the hub and spoke model, meaning satellite officing the network. So so as the topic is really how to grow this usage by employees of companies, because if we propose between home working and HQ something in between, we need to address all these different situation needs, etc. So how do you take that part, and where are these challenges to reach it? We spoke about a lack of supply, so Konrad mentioned it. So how to address it?
Yeah, we're seeing more and more demand in the satellite cities and in the second tier cities. And there are some of the market, it's very saturated, like for example, in the US, we know there are cities in the South. They are larger cities, like for example, Atlanta is becoming a really hot market. But then when for the operator to think about like what is the future that they wanted to build, right? One thing is to understand which market is hot and where people are. A lot of times is to match with the hiring strategy the companies have, right? And then the other thing I just wanted to bring to the greater audience to think about when we were thinking about this new type of user, which is the larger size companies. A lot of times to them, this hybrid model is not really about access. Like the smaller size companies, when they're thinking about hybrid, they're actually thinking about more like access, right? They need access to the space. For the slightly larger company, what they need to offer to their employee is in a way almost like a benefit. They have to offer an option to their employee so that the employee has the option, but access is becoming less important and less relevant, right? For the hybrid hub and spoke model, what we see is the hub is becoming a touchdown places for the team, but from the operator point of view, you may get nervous that you don't see people are coming here all the time. There may be days this office is empty, and then you wonder if this is something that's going to be sustainable in the future. In reality, it will be, because it's being offered to their employee as an option, and the usage of the access is becoming less relevant.
So, and what about the lack of supply? Because as you weave together all these players and offerings, how do you address it? I can figure out you work with employers, and I guess this is what they are asking, but
it's uneven. That's the key message here in terms of supply, right? There are markets that, just like Nir mentioned, like Tel Aviv, it's the demand is ultra high, and then there are other areas that you don't see the same kind of level of demand. So in terms of supply, it's very uneven in terms of location-wise and allocation of the location. And there's also another level of uneven in terms of what kind of inventory people are asking for. Right now, a lot of people are asking for short-term access. They're asking for larger size meeting rooms. Often space operator may not have for them, for companies to have their training session, to have their quarterly meetings. They're asking for sites that are like 20, 30 plus. And often for the space operator, that's not the kind of meeting room size they have. So another way to think about how do you supply this kind of like demand is to maybe have a different offsite place, and that can be bookable as request, and then the space operator to be the person operating this offsite location. Just to think a little bit outside of the box more creatively, how to generate different types of revenues.
Okay. Nir, are you back? So you're back? Okay. So thank you for reminding us that we can replay all the sessions anytime. And but we are arriving at the end of this this session. We are over, even a little bit over. But what about this topic of people want to have in-between solutions? So coming to Brand Embassy in the center of Tel Aviv, that's one thing. But also, I'm not familiar with the traffic situation in Tel Aviv, but I can assume it's pretty dense.
Jam.
So how do you, as an operator, address that? Is it maybe partnering up through other platform with third-party operators? Is it, how do you address it?
So I must say one small comment before answering your question, that we had quite a ride in the co-working industry, as vendors, I must say, because when the pandemic started, all the media was giving a very negative, let's say, backwind, or maybe you can see it as a front wind to the co-working industry. And what's happening at the moment is exactly the opposite. So we are enjoying a very strong backwind. And as I mentioned before, I'm working for a real estate company. We are not operating as a normal co-working provider who is leasing, fit-outing, and subleasing. And fortunately, I enjoy a very strong support from our board to expand our services. And we have building which is 20 kilometers from Tel Aviv in a very suburbs city, let's say. And over there, I was considering opening the Brand Embassy before the COVID, but I was quite concerned. But this, because of all those changes that we mentioned, we chose to launch another location over there, 2,000 square meters. And from all around, after announcing that, I'm getting like inquiries of companies that would like to book this space 8 months before it's ready, and it's 20 kilometers from the center of Tel Aviv. Meaning, I believe, looking at the near future, not like years from today, because I don't have a crystal ball, but looking at the near future, I think that the upcoming demand will come from a various dimension, as we mentioned over here, within the cities, within second-tier cities. So I think we are facing a bright future for all of us.
Perfect. So yeah, we are then even over. Konrad, just a short word of conclusion, if you like, and then we leave the last word to Sherri.
I think Nir did a great summary. We have this backwind, but this which pushing this industry forward right now, and this is huge opportunity, huge accelerator, and this is very good for industry. Very important. Industry is getting bigger and bigger, and it's harder and harder to look on it from eagle eye view as a whole. There's different segments. You have to address different challenges, different needs for smaller players, central located players, bigger players. It's much more complicated. But for everyone, I think this is better and better times. We know better what client needs. Clients are more aware of the flexible space, and unfortunately, the COVID situation was very fortunate for this industry, and I think this is the best conclusion.
Thank you. Sherri.
Yeah, so
responsibility for you to end it.
Ending a high note. We truly believe that Flex will be becoming part of the mainstream for the future, but Flex could mean different things in the very near future for different companies, for different operators. So togetherly, I think what's important is for all of us to keep an open mind, to keep a creative mind, to really think about what the users are thinking about, what they need, and came together as a community to come up with solutions and shape the future together. And I would say data is going to be a really key component for all of the decisions, and technology will remove a lot of the barriers and frictions. So all bright in the future, and we just have to all work together as a community on this.
Perfect. Thank you so much, all of you, for your participation in this great discussion. The presentation will be uploaded shortly in the Attendify. And have a good lunch break. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and we hope to see you soon, physically, outdoor or indoor, anywhere.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Yang.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
This session was supported by Upflex. Upflex gets your organization access to the largest global network of workspaces for teams and companies of any size.